Hi, this is Srinivas, Tamada, founder of i18n. This video I'm going to explain about how to implement a Angular internationalization. It is nothing but supporting in multiple languages with your application. Like if you see this demo, so this application right now is supporting French and Spanish, and that to this application working in a lazy loading design pattern. So I'll just explain you the quick way how we can implement and how you can set the default language and how you can change your language. All these things I'll explain. Let's jump into the project. Starting a new Angular project. Like you can create a, make sure install the Angular CLI and the node latest. I think Angular came up with a 10 now. So clear it off and ng new Angular translate. So I'm creating a project. We need a routing and the SAS. So this will take some time to pull up all the dependencies. So project got generated. Let's go to the project folder and let me open this with Visual Code. So this is a basic project structure. So go to the app. I'm going to create two folders called pages. I'm going to maintain all the pages here. And then I'm going to create another folder for services. And this here I'm going to write a service. So in this I'm going to create like home and the settings pages. Let me use the same ng command and ng generate, and if you want you can give like this and component and pages slash home. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, because we're going to convert this application into a lazy loading, that we need, like there is a module we need it. So I'm going to create a module. So the entire application works based on the module. That is what the lazy loading is. So if you look at this, it's basically the default one works with the app module, but now it works individually. And the same way I'm going to create settings. If you want, you can give the short way as well, and same folder side and the settings. And for settings as well, we need a module. So I'm just giving a shortcut as M. Even the module got created. If you look at this, the module got created. So let me clear it off. And now we need a router file. Everything has individual router files. So I'm going to give routes.ts. And there is another one I'm going to create called settings.routes.ts. So unfortunately we don't have a command to generate this. So, and basically this is an export class. So export, so all the home related routes we're going to export. So I'm going to give the same name, and this is basically the route, and it is an array. So, and the array looks like this, and here it will be the path and the component what exactly we are going to connect. So here is the home component. So that basically imports, and we need to import the route. So I think there's some reason auto import is not working. Let me import the route. And the same piece of code you can copy paste into the settings. So you just change the settings component here, and this is going to be settings, and save it, and it'll take it off all the stuff. Now back to the module. I think the routes are basically we need to connect with the module. So you need a like router module, and for child, and here you have to import the home routes, and here as well, like home component, and you have to export the. So why are we doing this? Because we're going to clean up this one. So basically it imports everything here. So we're going to cut off everything. Instead of these components, we directly import the module. Yes, it's exports. And the same way, like I'm just going to copy paste this here as well. In the settings, looks good so far. And now let's go to the app.html HTML, and you'll see lot of code. So by default one, we don't want this. We need only this. So let me clean up everything. And now come to the app module. So here we're going to disconnect from the actual default one to the lazy loading one. So we don't want these anymore. So we're going to import with the routes actually, and better import the HTTP client module because every application need to connect with the HTTP stuff like the APIs, everything. So I'm going to import that. So just the client module. So we imported the HTTP client module. So looks good. Now just jump into the routes. So here is the default routes here. So here we're going to make it a lazy loading. So we are going to use these routes and create an object for all the lazy loading components. The first one, it comes with a path, and for the home component I'm giving by default as a home, so I'm not giving any path, which means so when you launch the application you directly go to the home, and then it's load children, and then this is kind of a method, and now it comes import, and then here you have to specify the path. Basically goes to the pages and the home and home module, and this is a promise. So let's get the response and specify the m dot home module. That's it. So the same thing, the same structure, you can reuse it and just paste it, and here I'm going to give settings, and this one I'm going to connect with the settings one, and this is going to be settings. So let's run this application and we'll see this is running good or not. So meanwhile, if you look at this application, this is 10.0. So launch the application at 4200. So if you look at this, it's directly going to the home works, and the settings, if you go, it says setting works. So how to identify your application running on the lazy loading mode? Let's inspect and try to install the Agri. So Agri is a plugin to check the Angular stuff. So if you go here and when you launch this home, it only pulls up the home component. The default one, it pulls down all the whatever you import, all the things that come up. But this basically the home module has home component that is only pulled down. So and the same way if you go to the settings and it goes to the settings one. I don't know, some reason for the 10 it's not working good, but yeah, I think maybe they'll update this soon. Yeah, so now the both pages are working. Let's install the ngx-translate plugin. So Angular is offering a plugin called ngx-translate. You can install using npm, so it's called ngx and translate and core, and we need a ngx-translate HTTP loader as well because we're going to deal with multiple languages. Every language file is a JSON file, so and the same way we need the HTTP loader. So we got the plugins got installed. If you look at this, here is the latest one got installed. Let me clean it off everything, and so go to the assets folder, and we need another folder called i18n. So this is the international standard. You can check that i18n. So it's an internationalization format standard. So here I'm going to create files like en.json. En is English. It's a default structure kind of JSON object. So I'm going to create another one called French for one more, and there is another one for Spanish. So yes, JSON. Okay, Let's forget about other two. Let's work with the en. So right now I'm going to create, we have two pages right now. So I'm going to create like home like this, and an object for home, and the same way for settings. Forgot the colon here. So basically this is the structure. So if it is a title, I'm going to give title like, I'm going to give home page, and let's give some welcome text. So let's give my slogan, and here I'm going to give another one. So basically this is the reference key, and that's the content we are going to tag with the page. So this is a basic one. The same thing we're going to repeat it for Spanish and the English. So let's copy this. I would initially, what I do, I'm going to add like this. Later, I'm sorry, just for prefix, I'm adding like this. And the same thing I copy and paste here. Okay, so we created a en file. So let's work with the app module to configure the with the translate module. So this needs the export function, and we need to specify where exactly the files, JSON files got located, and then HTTP, then HTTP client, and here is the location you need to specify. It is assets i18n and slash, and then, so what kind of format it is? It is a JSON format. So let's import the HTTP translate module. So basically you need these three modules need to be imported, and go to the imports and use this translate. So this is the default structure of implementing this. So basically if you look at here with the module, we're setting up in the root level, and we are connecting this factory where exactly it got located, and it works with the HTTP client. So I just connected this. So working good now. So, and still we have some work to set the default one. Which one is the default one here? So for that there is a thing called .use, but instead I'm going to create a config file. So I'm going to create a service for that so that we can manage very well. So, and I'm going to use the same command, and then we created a services folder, and I'm going to give translate config. So because this translate that's already used in the core, so I'm sorry, I just, instead of G I give C. So if you look at the services, we have the service got created, and now there is a service, the default service we need to import, like it's called translate service. So import the translate service from the ngx core. The one I'm going to construct here, so the default one. So this way, wherever you want, you can import this directly. So the default language is en. I mean, it directly, when if you import this translate config service, it goes to the en and picks the en.json file. And I'm going to give a change language as well. So another method, and type, I'm going to give string. So I'm going to use the same service and type. So if you have a settings page, and you can call this method and pass the whatever you have, different languages, and you can set it up. So that way you can use this. So basically we imported this in the root level, so you don't need to include it anywhere in the module. But if you're specifically using for specific module like home or settings, you can remove this and remove this root, I mean, and you can include it in the module. So that is what the lazing loading works. So now let's go to the home module, or sorry, home component. So you can directly import the config translate config service. So that basically like take care of executing the constructor method. So just like this. And the same thing for the settings. Looks good. Let me go back, follow the same structure. And now let's go to the home.html. So we have home works right now instead, like I'm going to give a h1 tag, and the reference of this content is like home.title. So go to that, just give home.title. That's a reference key, and just give a translate pipe and just save it. Let's see the output, how that works. So home.title. So basically this has to be translated. Let me restart my server. So because we installed some new plugins, every time when you install new plugins, you have to restart the server, otherwise it says it's an error. Mostly when you deal with the modules, usually you'll get this. Yeah, we restarted it, but I forgot to tell you one more thing, and here also we need to import the translate module. It should be here. And for the settings as well, the same thing. Update the i18 path here, I missed it. So I imported everything and I restarted the server, and let's launch that application. And if you see that there is a home page, yeah, this one. And if you want, I can give another h2 tag for the, it came with a translate and the home dot welcome text. I'm giving the same thing here, translate pipe, and the settings dot title here. And if you look at that, the content got changed here. And let's go to the settings and let's connect the pages like this. I'm going to give, so I'm just giving router link like settings page. So even this one also I'm going to go translate here, connect with the settings page. So it's title, and this goes there like in a reverse way. Here it will be the home, and it's a default page, so we are not giving anything. So let's save it and see how that looks like. So home page and the settings page. So this is how it works, and let me drop off these. We don't want anything like this. So here in the settings, I'm going to create a button called button for changing the language. So I'm not giving any drop down right now. I'm going to give the buttons for click action. So let me decide the function name. Let me give this English. And the same way I'm going to give for French and the Spanish. I change lang to, this is FR, and en, and like yes for the file name. So we don't have a function yet, so let me go and create one. So this basically type comes from the click action. So, and then this we have a config service. It's called the config service, and we have a change language, and then just change the type. Now let's see what is going to happen. So we have three buttons. I need to format properly. Like when I change to French, the French one, the reference is coming, and the Spanish is coming when I go back. Things is changing like this, so which means it's working good. So there are some couple of IDs are there for translating entire JSON object, but right now I don't have any options, so I'll use Google Translate, and basically I change it. But if you want, you have a specific name, you can change with French. Let me French. So this is a French. I'll go to the French and replacing with this, and the final one for the welcome text. So if you don't like this, maybe it is a different term for your application, you can change it for your language. Maybe you need a language expert to change that information. So we change for French the same way we need to do it for Spanish. So this is most popular in US, the second language. Okay, let's see that got changing. Yep, if you see the French and yep, I think you have to format it properly, otherwise you'll get an error. Okay, let's go back and this will take refresh, and yeah, now it's working fine. And if you look at my demo, I just use my mother tongue and the Tamil, and so that way you can see the most different one. Like you want to display some phone numbers and the emails on the application that are actually coming from the backend API, so that you don't want to translate, but it is part of the content. Like email text, I use like email us at like it's basic. The dynamic content is coming from the backend, so you have to give a reference like this, and the text is the same, and then if you have a continuation text also you can add. But so how are we going to deal this kind of stuff? Like, yeah, let's go here. For example, I'm going to give a constant, I mean the public for email. So this value basically it's coming from a backend, but right now I'm going to fix it here. So we cannot translate the emails, right? So this one, how we're going to deal it is like I'm going to display the p tag, and then so basically this comes as the inner HTML, and then double quotes and the single quote and the home dot email text, and the pipe translate, and then colon, and you have to pass the value for the email because that's the reference for that. So here I'm going to give email. So I think there are so many emails here. I'll give different name here, email response. So that's the email response I'm giving here. Let's save it. So if you see that the content is coming good and except the value is not changing, let's quickly change that into email. Yeah, this is how, and if you see that changing, and if I change into French and going back, so it's completely changing to French. And if you are dealing with like multiple values, if you look at this demo, so there is a, let me change it to English, and when the value 2 added to the value 1 equal to 3, and if you want to increment and decrement, if you see this string is like with the two multiple dynamic values that you can increment and decrement, but the value is changing. It's the same pattern. Like let me quickly copy it from my demos. So this is some text, for example, when the value added with the value 1 and the value 2, and then so what exactly it's coming, the same information you can add it to the French and the English as well. I think I copied in the Spanish way. Okay, so yeah, so first let's print this and create a value 1. Let me value 1 and value 2. There is another p tag, the same inner HTML. You can follow this structure exactly, and here you can change to the value 1, and then you can use a comma and then value 2. So I'm going to give B, and here it's A, and go to the component. I'm going to give A equal to 1 and B equal to 2. So if you look at this, when the value 1 added to value 2, I think it's a 3. Maybe I gave a wrong tag, so let's change it to the span. Yeah, that's it. And for other things, because I don't have a language, by default it takes the default one. So you can change uh, the language the same way I added. So you can go to that and you can change it. And make sure remove the commas at the end. So this should be a JSON format. So mostly we make the mistakes. And that's it for this demo. And yeah, if you look at everything got changed, and this is the for this you'll find the demo on the GitHub. Yeah, thanks a lot for watching this video.